1 and sorry, 3, 2, 1. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Last Step podcast. Now today I've been waiting for this day for a very long time, so just for context, last year I reached out to Kai after knowing him for some time, known him through people in the mutual friend space, and he came on the podcast, and even though it wasn't the most downloaded, I've never seen or received any more positive feedback for a single episode. That was almost a year ago to this day. And since then, we've stayed in touch. I've been off social media this last 3 months, but last year I was following his journey, and he's here today to talk about everything, and so much more that he's been through. But out of all my years now, this is now exactly 3 years of the Last Step podcast, and to this day, this has been probably the most important episode and the most look forward to and anticipated episode I've ever done. So if you tuned in today, guys, just want to say thank you very much. And Kai, it's good to have you back, brother. How you doing, man?
Oh man,
sorry if that was a little bit too much,
No, it was great. How am I doing? That's something we'll unravel in this podcast.
So I'm actually just gonna turn the aircon on real quick.
Things are getting spicy.
It's actually like the one thing I keep forgetting to do every single time I bring a guest on the podcast. I always keep forgetting to turn the damn aircon on. But yeah, so let's just recap everything. When you came on last year, we talked about a lot. And then from there, obviously you can say it in your own words, but I think it wasn't long after you moved over east. And then you went through, what I would say would have broken 99% of the population, the amount of trials that you had to go through.
Yes, trials and tribulations, I guess. How long after was it that I went?
It wasn't that long. It was only a good 2 months, 3 months at most.
Fair enough.
Because I actually messaged you one day and I was like, dude, where are you? And you were on some farm.
Oh yeah, honestly, that whole journey was whack. I just felt like, what's that movie called with so I guess I'm not in Kansas anymore.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it was just so weird. I just one day decided that I'm just gonna book some tickets and just go. Well, didn't even think about it. Didn't even plan anything. I just booked it just one way, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm doing this. Which to this day, I still don't know if it was a mistake or whatnot, but definitely experienced a lot, like from floods to dying to, I would say probably the worst experience of my entire life was being in ICU and just being in the ward and just coming so close to death, and also having like the people in the ward with me, like the people just dying and nurses crying, and also, being in the room with some elderly gentleman with like stage 4 cancer, and then the doctor just walks in after just days of nothing. It's like, oh yeah, you're gonna die. And
what, to you?
No, to these guys.
Jesus. So let's take it a little bit step by step. You went over east. What happened with the floods?
Oh, okay. So before that, so the floods were a week after I died, from mold poisoning.
From what poisoning?
Mold.
Mold poisoning?
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
Because the house we're staying at had like mold, and the previous landlord, just painted over it.
No.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked. And then like the pollen in the area and the altitude is really high. So there's one day I was gonna do some PT and I just collapsed. Like I just messaged my client. I was like, can't make it, sorry. Like can't breathe.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, like I woke up in hospital, and they had a helicopter me because we're in a small country town, and like they said that I wasn't gonna make it, and apparently it took 18 hours to get me back into like
18 hours.
Yeah, I was fucked. The only thing I could think of when I came back was that Mr. Chow line. It's like, but did you die? I was just spamming that.
Like, so, I know it's a weird thing to ask, but did you experience anything inside those 18 hours? Like, what was it like?
No, actually, so maybe I didn't actually go like full on brain dead. I don't know. I actually don't know the specifics. All I know is that apparently on the helicopter they said that like he may not make it. Like,
Wow.
yeah, like he's apparently my SpO2 was like way below 70, so I wasn't getting oxygen to my brain, and yeah.
Jesus. So you wake up in hospital, then what?
Oh, it was. So I mean, just I woke up to like two nurses, a male and female, and the male nurse was just like grabbing my cock and just putting a catheter up it.
Oh, Jesus.
I know. So that was like how I woke up. So
Oh, God.
I was just like, I went from just lying in bed, and then all of a second, next thing I know is like I'm getting a catheter up the cock.
Jesus Christ.
So that was like how I woke up, and I was just like,
Did it hurt? It must have hurt.
it hurt, yeah. It did hurt. Not gonna lie. I was surprised they got some, like they managed to fit that thing in there. I was like, please no.
No, you do judo. I thought you would have woken up and just threw her over the side of the bed.
No, it was a male dude, and I was just like, it was mostly, I was like in shock. I was just confused. I was like, what is happening? Like, how did I just get teleported here? Like, mentally, it was literally just like, imagine like right now, in the next second, you get teleported to just that. It was just strange. Like, I didn't think I was actually going, like, I didn't feel that. It's not like I couldn't breathe. It wasn't like an asthma attack. I just felt like really drowsy. Lay down for a bit, next second, hospital. So, yeah. And then a week after that, so ICU was probably terrible experience. Probably the worst experience of my entire life.
Wow.
And,
So how long were you in hospital for?
like a solid week and a bit. Yeah, that one was just, like, I couldn't walk. I was, like, struggling to walk to the bathroom, the shower. Like, the most I could do, I was just in my bed just once in a while, just trying to do some, like, isometric holds, like glute.
Mm-hmm.
Just stuff like that. I was just struggling, like. And then a week after that, got out and got hit by the floods.
Yeah, so when you get out of hospital, did you ever tell the landlord, oi, you fucking tried to kill me?
Oh, she ran away to Gold Coast.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck, so did the police know about the situation? Or?
To be honest, I have no clue when it comes like to like these things. We were gonna tear up the carpet anyway and try to fix things, but yeah, like it was pretty messed.
And then you returned to the house and you got hit by the floods.
Yeah, like the floods were. It was crazy because we were getting like lightning, like all around, and I think the day that it happened, we had a blood moon and solar flares.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the weather was just acting up weird, and when we had the flood, it was just chaotic. It was on like a Sunday night or Saturday night, and it was just like the record floods for more than 100 years, and like we were sprinting around and like trying to get people out of the houses. You know, some guy, he built his retaining wall like a few feet higher than the record flood, and you know, we're just trying to yelling at him, and he's in his car like, refusing to leave, and like his whole house is just underwater. So can you imagine just like your life's work, just like you're looking at just underwater, like you did like the right things, and that's it, it's like gone. So it kind of like made me.
There's nothing you can even really say could ever justify such a cause. You know, when people have these sort of situations like floods, and they'll say things, I don't know, they look to religious reasons, they say, oh, God works in mysterious ways, or no, but you know, it's just the way things are, but nobody wishes for such a thing, you know, and it's not fair for anyone, really.
Yeah.
And then I guess life's not fair, but it's like, it's hard to justify, really, such a horrible thing. Yeah, I'm kind of like lost some words around it, because people will say things like, oh, you know, God wrecks your plans because he knows your plans are going to wreck you. And I'm like, oh, you know, it's the force of nature, it's about how you respond to everything, but I'm just like, there's not really, well, yes, but in times like this, no one asked for such a thing, and no one really deserves such a thing.
No.
Especially, and so you had the floods, then what happened and all that?
Damn. So had the floods, volunteering, doing cleanup work in the community, and it is wonderful to see that during times of like war and chaos, that's the community really does band together. That's one of the good things that come out of it. But as you were saying right before, I mean, one of these memes that just helped me get through the whole thing was literally, you watch The Office?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and it's just this meme of like Dwight like talking to Ryan, like, right, not everything in life is a lesson. Like sometimes you just fail and that's it. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much. There was nothing to really learn from this experience besides that sometimes in life will just kick you for no fucking reason. So I was like, because I was like scratching my head. I'm like, where, like, look, why, like, and then I was just blaming myself. I was like, this surely happened. I even blamed myself for the floods at one point. I was just like, is this God's way of just like getting back at me for something I did? And I realized that that's just me being stupid. I can't blame myself for natural disaster.
No, of course not. So, I know when you moved over there, was there anything that you lost? How did you pick up after the floods? I mean, did you lose most of your stuff? Clearly you didn't lose that jacket, because that was the same jacket I saw you in last time.
Yeah, no, we're pretty lucky because the house we're on was in the main street, but it was mostly the people that were around, like in the outskirts. They lost like everything. So, like, and when we're doing the volunteering work, like a lot of the smaller country towns, it's amazing how much the news doesn't show. Like they'll show like a few things you hear on the radio or flooding and stuff, but what actually happens is like pretty feral. Like there's like tons of dead livestock and like people's just lives just completely uprooted. Like it's actually like, I'm surprised the news doesn't really get much, doesn't give much attention to these kind of stories, because they're actually, it like, I remember coming out when the rain was going on and like, something out of a movie, man, like the 23-ton tractor just floated away like nothing. Like shipping containers as well, those really big ones, just like boats on like, they just get picked up and they're off. Destroy like the bridges around like the town and stuff. It was pretty, like, it was just carnage.
So what did you do after that? Did you end up living in your car?
No, I had a seizure.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
I remember you told me about that.
Yeah.
So explain to the audience what happened with that.
Well, like, we're running around the whole night and my body was still wrecked from ICU. So I was just walking after everything was done, and I just fell backwards and just slammed my head against the concrete.
Jesus, did you have a concussion?
I don't think so.
Okay.
They called an ambulance because apparently it sounded like a bowling ball hit the concrete. And like, I was like bleeding at the mouth a bit, but when I went in ICU, I was hell-bent on not going back. ICU was, I don't ever want to go to ICU again.
Did you feel like it was, I know it's a weird thing to say, but did you feel like, what did you find worse? Did you feel like it was because of how physically wrecked you were, or did you feel like you were just so mentally wrecked inside the ICU?
To be honest, I woke up and I just didn't even know what happened. Didn't have a bruise, didn't have anything, like, there was no, like, lumps. And when they tested me in the hospital again, I was, like, hell-bent on not going, so I even did a one-legged squat just to basically say, I'm fine, like, just let me go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the nurses were like, why are you in here? Like, do you have a headache? And I was like, yes. Because I was just like, there's no way in hell that I'm going back in. Yeah, so that was that. And then after that, I went into Orange, which is like another town, and was living out of a tent. And I bought a bike, cycled around, and just when the office works, print out a resume and just try to find any work.
Did you?
Yeah, I was working so I got a job as a cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to the Great Western Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 107 years old.
Nice.
Yeah. So when we first started out, like all the fridges were so moldy and everything.
No.
So yeah. So the first few days I was just scrubbing mold out of fridges and cleaning up, and I mean it's hard work but honest work. Yeah, and they let me stay in a room there as well, which is great. But I was just a bit paranoid about the mold because of the previous experience. So yeah, I just kept really busy with cleaning. And I have no experience cleaning before, so like I could barely keep my room tidy. And so going from that to keeping a hotel tidy was a challenge, but I got good at it, like making beds and whatnot. It was a good experience.
Wow. And then after that, not crossing boundaries, but you told me a situation that you had when you got drugged or something. Was it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that story blew my mind. So if that's okay, would you mind just sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah.
This is all added to it. So just for the people that are listening, he experienced all this rapidly, one after the other. There was like a short, tiny break in between each. But for most people, like, even if they lose their house and flood, fuck, they think life's over, or, you know, they go in the ICU once, you know, they're mentally wrecked forever afterwards, or the fact that you went back in and out of hospital, and this is all, like, really inspiring stuff, and I'll explain why I mean so much later on, but if you can, please tell the story of what happened with the whole drugging.
Oh, okay. So the drugging thing, I was doing some NDIS work with just like with like autistic kids, and so I'll bring some of the kids to the gym, like these are younger gentlemen, and I would also just go gym by myself, just have fun, because I missed Revo a lot, because everyone's like rowdy there. And yeah, there was this guy, and he was cracked out. He was just crazy. And then one day he just offers me, he's like, man, you got to try this homebrew coffee that I got. And so I just go, and I wasn't really thinking, like, I just thought, okay, maybe it is just a good cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And I drink his coffee, and like, next thing I know, like, I'm just out of it. I don't know what the fuck was in there, but yeah, I was like stumbling around the streets, and people were just like, this guy's not okay, and I was just like, I'm fine, what are you guys talking about? But apparently I looked so out of it, they actually had to call an ambulance.
Again, and was it the same ambulance?
No, this is the first time. This was the first time, but it was actually the same ambulance as it was.
Oh no!
A few, like, I think when they picked me up for the seizure, it was the same ambulance, and they were like, "It's a completely different guy," and I was like, "Thank God!" Like, oh, but yeah, that experience was pretty messed. I ended up joining that same gym. I ended up working like right next to that gym. They called the ambulance as well, which is pretty funny. Yeah, I was just like, hope they don't recognize me. But
what was it laced with? What he gave you?
Fuck, I think just hard drugs. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you know him personally, or
no?
Was he just like a really strange dude that just hung around the gym and then one day just offered you this?
To be honest, I think that my head was preoccupied with solving the puzzle of love at that time. So I was just hanging out with this dude, and he was just talking about how the government and drones and stuff like that. Like, he was saying that like flies are like drones, and I was like, yeah, all right. And then, yeah, and then I drank some of his coffee and then died. Yeah.
What did you experience like?
I just felt really out of it. I didn't even feel that out of it. I didn't know that the coffee was laced.
Mm-hmm.
In hindsight, I should have been like, yeah, I'm not drinking your coffee, weird man. Yeah. Like, yeah. But unfortunately, I did drink it. And yeah, the lesson learned. Don't drink stuff from strangers.
Yeah, and then you wake up in hospital again. And then I messaged you, and I was like, fucking hell, man, are you alright? What's going on? And, then, and you were like, dude, I just got, someone tried to drug me, this and that. I was like, dude, you just fucking moved over east and all that, and now all this stuff has happened.
Man.
I mean, when you were in hospital after being drugged, like, what happened then? What was the recovery process? Did you have to, like, did they try and pump your stomach?
Oh, no. They just, like, left me for a bit, and then I got out.
Really?
Like,
and then just let you go?
Yeah, because it was just gone by then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just embarrassing, to be honest. Like, I'm pretty sure I harassed every single nurse.
Really?
Yeah, like, I was just completely out of it. They put me in a diaper and everything, and I was just like, I thought it was the funniest thing. I was just really out of it. Like, I apologize to any of the nurses I may have harassed.
How long did it take for you to fully recover from that?
Oh, a day or two.
A day or two? Okay.
Yeah, but it was just embarrassing. It was just one of those things which you don't really, like, I don't really care, as you notice. But it was something which, yeah, like when you go to a new place, you don't want that to be your reputation. It's like, yeah. Because all I had was just, this guy drugged me, but, you know.
How much, like, what was it in terms of a bottle? Like, was it like that Coke can in terms of quantity? Or
it was just like
it was a tiny quantity.
It was just like a cup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that dude was probably like sipping on that shit every day and all that.
Yeah.
Did you ever see him again after that?
No, but he would message. Oh god. I've got to try to find the video, but he sent me this like video just a few months ago, just like he was just completely out of it. Like,
what was the video of?
He was just screaming. He's like, "Just do whatever you want to do, man. You got this." Like, and I was just like, and he was obviously just off his head.
Oh,
yeah.
And so you didn't even go to the police or anything like that? Like, yo, I was drugged. This dude's going around drugging people. Or?
Nah, I just live and let be.
Fuck, man, it's crazy. From being drugged to mold poisoning to floods to being back in the ICU after falling back and hitting your head. Just, that's the kind of shit that usually breaks people, man. Just, some people just don't even go through that stuff in a lifetime. I mean, everybody experiences trauma to some degree. Everyone experiences hardship to some degree, and people are truly victimized in horrible ways. But that kind of stuff just, I know it's a really weird thing to say. This is, I'm not trying to get all like spiritual and all that, but the fact that you're able to go through all that and then later on down the line come back on here and talk about it, and the way you talk about it as well is extremely stoic, you know.
Cheers.
I think that's, I know it's a really weird thing, but if anything like that was supposed to happen to someone, I'm not saying it's supposed to happen, but if it could happen to someone who was capable of it, it would be someone such as yourself. Because, I mean, it's obviously one thing to go through it, but the way you've responded to this, it's almost like something like, it's like something you read out of the fucking Bible or something like that, or one of those like fantasy stories, or one of those thriller TV shows. Like, do you feel like this has changed you in any way, or do you feel anything different? Obviously, you look very different from the last time we spoke.
Really? Oh, fair. Not gonna lie, I feel less pain, and I mean in a physical sense, but definitely has changed me in many aspects. I feel. It's stoicism. Yeah, I mean, reading the Daily Stoic was one thing that really helped me pull through.
Yeah.
Yeah, like during that time period as well, I split from my girlfriend.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean that was why I was there, to kind of repair that. And look, I still sort of take the blame for that, because, and that's what hurts the most. But at the same time, it is what it is, and you know, some things is.
If you don't mind me asking, man, how long were you guys together for? 4 years. 4 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just the way it ended was just messy. Like, it was definitely not ideal, how things ended, but you know, what's done is done. And yeah, just got to keep your eyes moving forward, and that's all you can really do. But I mean, still, you know, gotta each chapter when it closes, you know, it's still part of the book, and still, you know, I guess has a lot of depth to it. But moving forward from the previous chapters is kind of hard. You don't want to dwell like too much in it.
Yeah. So, breakup, getting drugged, ICU, floods, falling over. Like, then what happened, man?
Oh, so I was working in a hotel. I literally just tried to keep as busy as I could.
Okay.
I don't know why, but my mind was just like, going home wasn't even on my mind. It was just...
Wow, even after all that?
Yeah.
You just like, what made you want to stay?
I don't know. I think that it was just more so a challenge to myself. That, hey, like, how much can I just put up with? And just actually just like, if I can't just be dropped here and make something out of my life, like, then there's something wrong with me. So I decided to just try my best to make it. Like, even though lots of shit happened, yeah, like, just do my best to...
And how did you make it back? Like,
oh, yeah, and then I got another seizure when my parents kidnapped me from Wollongong.
wait, what? Really?
Yeah, so I broke my tooth, and I also got a little cauliflower ear.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you do that? Like,
oh, my parents just came out of nowhere in Wollongong. I was staying with some friends.
did they know that you were there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they know about everything that you were going through?
Somewhat, yeah. I didn't
Okay.
tell them when I was in ICU.
Wow.
Yeah.
But did they know?
Yeah, they know now.
Fuck. And how did they respond to that?
By literally, like, surprising me and just be like, "You're coming home," like. And I was like, "Fuck, I've been caught." And because I was waiting for Volkanovski to finish his fight with Makachev,
Mm-hmm.
so I was hoping I had to catch him in Wollongong to do some like wrestling and stuff. So I was quite disappointed I couldn't do that, but I guess I'm back.
Mm-hmm. And you've been back for 4 months?
Yep.
Yeah. And now, what does it feel like now being back in Perth after going through all that?
To be honest, weird. Like Revo, like the gym, like the community there is not really there anymore.
Which one though?
Canningville.
Canningville, yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Is your boy Tom still training there?
Yeah. No, I think he's down in Bunbury now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So a lot of things have changed as usual. Yeah, times have flown, and you know, new chapters, new opportunities arising. I think that when I came back, I started a fight club, which is pretty fun.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Okay, tell me the story behind that.
Oh, I just, like, because I got mats and stuff, and I was just kind of upset I got dragged back, so I don't know why I just started
You were
fight club.
upset you came home?
Yeah.
Wow.
I just don't like to do anything which is, like, forced on me, I guess. Like, and, yeah, my parents wouldn't let me drive because of the second seizure. That was just stress related, like, and just fatigue.
Have you ever experienced any seizures since then?
No.
Wow.
So it just made no sense to me. I was like, well, you're gonna let me fight random people in like the garage, but I can't drive the car, which is just dumb. But I did a lot of walking and a lot of cycling though, which is good, but still, it was just tough. Yeah, what else?
You came back. Now, what are you doing for work and all that?
Nothing at the moment.
Nothing, yeah.
I decided to take a step back. I was meant to fight in the Sambo, Kazakhstan.
Okay, what?
Yeah.
That's new.
Yeah. They just reached out to me, and I was meant to fight in that. and I had some health issues. And basically the hospital basically said, because I also haven't been able to get a neurologist clearance.
Okay.
So basically I can't get travel insurance to fight.
Why? Why wouldn't they clear you?
I haven't got doctor's clearance. Like basically they've said that I'm not fit to fight.
Really?
Yeah.
How did they come to that conclusion? Did they have to test you or anything like that, or?
I've had like 4 or 5 CT scans, and
Wow.
they were all like fine.
Okay.
But I haven't got a neurologist clearance, and
How does a neurologist clear you though and test you?
I have no clue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it kind of sucks because it's a fully paid trip to Kazakhstan, and just all I got to do is
You were going to go to Kazakhstan, so you already paid for it?
no.
Okay.
The federation paid. Like,
Really?
yeah, so hopefully I didn't step on any toes.
So what made you want to make the transition then from judo to sambo?
They just messaged me one day as like, hey, do you want to fight?
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, yes. Yeah, it's very similar, so I was like, why not?
Is that still the goal right now to get there?
To get what?
To get to Kazakhstan and...
I can't.
Yeah.
Like, my parents have, like, I can't, if I can't get travel insurance, and the last time, you know, when you travel, if there's any injuries, whatnot, you're pretty much screwed.
Okay.
Like, the insurance won't cover anything, like Medibank and stuff, and if you go to get surgery, you got to pay it out of your own pocket, and the chance of that is pretty high, so, yeah. But there's always other opportunities, so give me some time to get ready and see how things go.
Do you ever think about getting into MMA?
A lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that something on the card still?
I'm not sure, actually.
Because I've seen those reels, I've seen those videos of you fighting with other athletes and all that, and with other MMA fighters.
You
You have an incredible background in judo, you know. So, and now sambo. I mean, what's your striking background though? Do you have much experience?
Yeah, I do. Look, I did a lot of Muay Thai.
Mm-hmm.
I just enjoy striking, and I probably enjoy getting hit in the head too much.
Mm-hmm.
But first thing, so I probably need to get surgery on my left patella.
Oh, is that still giving you issues?
Yeah, it was after this. I think when I fell down the second stage, I busted it even more. So now it's actually giving me quite a bit of grief when I like jog. So
Really?
yeah, it's no good.
Did you get a scan on it?
Not yet.
Okay.
I need to get it done and figure out what I can do about it. Yeah, but once that's settled, you can look forward. But at the same time, like, there's not a lot of money in MMA.
But you're one of those people that I know that you don't look like the type of person who fights in it for money.
That is true, but at the same time, I think my parents would disown me.
Really?
Yeah, it's not a new thought. I wanted to transition years ago,
Wow. Okay.
and they just basically said that if you do that, you're going to be disowned. So
If you don't mind me asking, what's your relationship with your family?
yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's good enough for me to be like, okay, fine. Yeah.
Because are you living with your family right now, or are you living on your own?
No, living with family. I
Okay.
think that Asians tend to stay. Like yeah, I don't see a good reason why. Well, I mean, it's kind of nice to have your own freedom, but at the same time, at this age, you kind of have to, like, they say they're taking care of you, but you're also sort of taking care of them in some aspects, and it's just, yeah. It's a complex dynamic, I guess.
Nice. Wow. So now, before we started the podcast as well, you were telling me you were getting into acting.
Yeah.
What made you want to do this transition? This is very different, you know.
Oh, so
By the way, if they ever do a remake of Fight Club, I reckon you could be a good Tyler Durden.
yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah.
I would really enjoy that. So, and when I was over east, turns out like getting jobs for acting over east is a lot easier. And so I signed up with, there was an advert for acting roles, and I didn't really know like the thing. I just applied, and they needed me to do like a short video interview, etc. And next thing I know, like, yeah, turns out there was an SBS feature. Initially I thought it was maybe just one of those like It's like, I asked my agents, like, is this some sort of gay porn? Like,
Is it? What did they want you to do?
oh, nothing. It was like, it was nothing like that. It was just like I just had to play like an Asian dude who hasn't come out the closet yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just like a day's work, but it's like $5,000. I know, and I was like, this is just unbelievable. You telling me I don't have to do that much? I didn't have to say too much, and it's $5,000.
Yeah.
So they booked me into like 5-star hotels. So I went from being like homeless to spending 2 days in a 5-star hotel, getting my hair cut and stuff, and then like waiting for like results, and then I got paid like $100 for the haircut.
Wow.
And I was like, this is actually a sick gig, like getting paid $100 for a haircut. And I came back here, and they asked me to I got shortlisted to do an ad. So they were going to fly me to Melbourne to do an advert for some, I don't know, I just had to pretend I could play baseball.
Okay.
Yeah, so I look at the jobs that were like available and and they actually shortlisted me for, and it's like, if I was living in Melbourne and Sydney, like, it would be so easy. Well, not easy, but I could probably get a few of these jobs pretty soon, which is one thing that I'm sort of thinking of. But I know, Perth is home, so I may actually do some acting classes and see how I go.
Wow.
Yeah, and see what happens.
Yeah. Do you have anything currently right now that you're working on that you can share with us, or do you have any projects that you're working on, or?
There were a lot of projects on like social media, The Right Fit and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting a new camera. My other camera was just really hard to work with. But the influencer stuff is kind of like, I don't really enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
I really don't enjoy it.
Thank you. Do you feel like it feels fake?
It's just gross. I feel just like really gross doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just have to shower. Like, it's ugh. Like, you pretty much just, it goes against like what you're like. It goes against like a lot of my values, and it was just like, I guess it's practice. But then in the end, it was just like, some of the stuff was good though. Some of the stuff like the Bay yoga and nootropic stuff. Definitely recommend that. There are a few products which were like this is actually worthwhile getting. And then there's some which were just like what the hell is this? There was one gym that wanted to pay like $550 just to get people in the gym and filming.
Really?
Yeah, it was an easy $550, but just having my name attached to that and being like, yes.
Okay.
That felt like really. So I basically just cancelled it. I was like, it's not worth like $550.
Wow.
I don't think it's worth any amount of money. Like, if you don't believe in something, it's a bit.
It's very noble of you.
Oh, I just couldn't physically I couldn't physically do it. I mean, then again, there's acting, and then there's just, I don't know. I guess you could say it's acting to believe that you could act like you like this product and sell it, but at the same time, it's just, feels icky.
I've always had a war with influencers. I don't know what it is. It's actually one of the things that's led me to get off social media. So ever since January 20-something, I've been completely off social media.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, almost. The only social media I'm having access to is my the Last Set podcast Instagram. That's it. And there was something I had someone put on it where only I could access messages. So when I go on the actual app itself on Instagram on my computer, I don't see feed.
Oh.
I've not checked anyone's feed. I've not seen anyone's feed in in May, 4 months now.
Oh, awesome.
And I aim to stay off it until July.
Yeah.
Because then that will be a complete 6 months. And if anyone's listening right now, I think getting off social media is probably one of the best things you can do for your mental health. think it's one of the best things you can do as well if you want to get shit done. And it's also one of the best things you can do right now if you want to have a lot more pride. The reason why is because the problem with our generation is we are so obsessed with looking like we are successful. I've met so many fucking people in this life. Well, not so many, but I've met a few people in this life where they think they're this absolute big shot on social media because they have a following or they got the blue check. But you meet them in real life, they got the personality of a doorknob. Or in reality, they've got someone behind them pulling all the strings and all that. And the last thing I wanted to do was appear fake. Appear like I'm some big shot because, you know, I run a podcast or because I got a PT or because I fucking did swimming for 4 years. No. When people see me, what you see is 100% what you get. And I feel like people have this social media personality and then their real life personality. And their social media personality is giving them all these crazy expectations, and they have to be absolute ballers, you know, they have to make more money, drive a nicer car, get a pretty girl. It's all bullshit in my eyes.
It really is.
And I think it's also one of the best ways to truly respect your actions. It's like this podcast, for example. I do this podcast now solely because I just want to. That's it. And that's beautiful because I was doing like an episode a week, but I felt like, fuck, I've got to do an episode a week. I've got to find the next person. No, it's just like, even if the episode was come on, the guest was great, I felt like it was more forced. But now every time I do an episode, it's just like, fucking, I want to do an episode with this person. I want to fucking speak to this person. I don't care if they've come on like 3 times or 4 times before. I just want to do an episode with them because, you know, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then everything started making more sense. Work started making more sense because it was more pure, it was more intentional, and I was giving it more attention. Podcast was getting so much better because, you know, people could tell that I was actually more engaged. It felt more like a conversation, less like an interview. So, yeah, man. And I'm staying off it till July because the other thing that's also happened is I got my blue belt.
Oh, nice.
In Jiu-Jitsu, thank you.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I got it in February, and July is going to be my first competition as a blue belt.
Oh, wicked. Which one?
SGT, Submission Government Tournament.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so, and I've done more Jiu-Jitsu in my life now than I've ever done. And then, you know this because you've done Judo for more than 10 years?
15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
You went through this period yourself where it was the thing that consumed your life.
Yeah.
And nothing else felt like it mattered much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like I'm slowly evolving into this phase where I do not care about the way I look or I just care about doing the thing that makes me fucking happy. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That gives my life purpose.
It's good that you're getting into that when you are blue belt because that means that purple isn't far off, and also blue belt level is competitive.
It is.
And there's so many competitions, so you should definitely check out all the open mats.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah, have you been to Guardians and stuff?
I actually have. So, funny story, I went, when I was in January, shout out to George, by the way, fucking Battleground Trials. I went there for Battleground Trials.
Oh, yeah.
Fun, and I rocked up and I was the only white belt there. I thought I was fighting other white belts, and I just signed up to it because, fuck yeah, I love to compete. And then, just before I was about to step on the mat, I was up against another blue belt. And then he was like, and then the commentators behind me, oh, we have the only white belt here today, Joe Chandler from UFC Gym. I was like, what? I actually stopped him mid. He's like, am I the only one? It is, yeah. And then I got on the mats, and then I went up against a guy, and he caught me in an armbar in that last 30 seconds, and just walked away from that. I knew that I lost, but I was so comfortable with the fact that I was able to hold on for that long and even turned up to something when very few people were there. And if anyone is following Battleground Trials or in the Jiu-Jitsu world, I highly recommend you do, because George is doing something really awesome in Perth. You know?
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable. I feel that, like, if anyone is listening and they don't do some form of Jiu-Jitsu, or like, if you want to jump into like an anime pretty fast, you just do jiu-jitsu, throw yourself in it, compete, and your life pretty much becomes like an anime. Like it's so tough. It's just so demanding on everything in your body. Like you really find out who you are because, like, it's scary. It's terrifying to go to just, hey, I'm just gonna like wrestle these strangers right now. Like, I mean, for me, it's I guess it's my life. But then when I spend some time to reflect on it, I realize that, hey, like, for the regular individual, this is mortifying. Like, just to be put in weird situations with a complete stranger, and they're trying to like take your head off.
The most common comment I get is, and I can experience myself, is you feel like you're drowning.
Yeah.
And no matter how much you kick and flail, you're not gonna make it, up to the top. And then you make it to the end of the session. That someone said to me, white belt, it's all about surviving, and then you build your defense, and then the best offense is a good. Someone said, I don't know what it is. Best offense is a great defense, or something like that. You have to build your defense first, and your offense, and then finally you piece everything together, and that's how you get your black belt. But that's why so many people drop out. I would say white belt to blue belt is the hardest, because it's probably the first time for a lot of these people they truly know what it's like to suffer, to have their ego broken, and then when they finally get it, they realize, oh, fuck, I've got to start all over again. I think the dropout rate of white to blue is high, but then once you get the blue, the dropout rate's even higher.
Yeah.
So many people stop once they get their blue belt and all that,
It's kind of like you've climbed the mountain, and then you realize, holy shit, like I have to get down from this mountain and climb an even bigger mountain. Yeah. And it's only when you're a blue belt you see the peaks. You see the peaks of like purple belt, brown belt, and then like black belt. And the peak for that is quite monumental. And then when you realize how far there is to go, most people just say, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm out. But then again, it's about the people who actually love just the process of walking. So most people, like, for me, when I was doing judo, I would look at the things like, fuck, I don't care how long it takes, I'm just walking. Just gonna like plod along and just eventually get there. And but many people just look at that. It's very daunting, and they're just like, nah, fuck this, I'm out. Like, it's too far. Some of them, they try, and what they don't realize is like it's very much like it's sort of like a paper thing. You have to kind of push just hard enough to break through, because even if you need to actually break the initial inertia of like reaching the next level. It is very much so like a breakthrough point, which comes from like really, really shitty performances. You're crying, you mess up, you perhaps like break an arm and you have to come back from that. Stuff like that. This is what most people, after a big major injury, they'll quit.
Yeah.
And
I had a moment where I felt not at a down point, but honestly I felt like a massive failure. So I had a bit of an ego driven when I was a little bit of a white belt, because I had a period, not last year, but the year before, I won a tournament. I won my first tournament, and when you win, it feels fucking amazing. You feel like you're hot shit. And then I felt like I wasn't good, but I was okay, but it was enough to really want me to keep going. And then what happened was, I made it into the new year, and then I started to really get frustrated that, I thought I was good at this, and then you go for that period where your ego is broken down, you get a little bit of hope, and then you just get broken down even further. And then I had a competition when I rocked up, and I just got absolutely obliterated for 2 matches, and then I won silver, and I was so angry that I won silver, because I thought, I thought it was gold medal in my division. And then I went to a tournament 2 weeks later. I was only up against one guy, and he beat me, and I found out he'd only been training for 3 months. And compared to my almost 2 years at the time as a white belt.
Yeah.
And then I made it to a point where I had another competition 2 weeks later, lost to a guy who I'd beaten before on a sub, and then and then he beat me that time on points, And then I had him in the exact same sub I get usually everybody in, but him, he just held on a little bit longer. So he managed to do that. And then I watched him almost completely sacrifice his arm just so he could say that he beat me. And then he loses and gets absolutely obliterated in the next round. And then I remember losing that competition, feeling like, fuck, I haven't won in ages, like a complete and total failure. And I was like, fuck, I am spending so much money in these competitions. You know, I'm trying so hard to get better. And then I just realized, you know, that was life. And then it was that exact same fucking moment when I was upset in my car, pulled up Instagram, you're in the hospital.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And it was in that moment, that's when I reached out, like, fuck, man, what happened to you? And then you just told me all that. And then I was in my car. I remember I was on the verge of tears because I felt like a complete loser. But I'm like, this guy's going through fucking almost dying. And here I am just upset because I lost to some guy who I'd beat before. And it completely changed my perspective. And then I was like, okay, all right. So, and you know, we kept talking a little bit then. And then I think it was 1 month later, I had one more competition to close out the year. I think it was around November-ish. And I said to myself, I don't care if I win, if I lose, I'm going to do all 3 divisions. I'm going to do no gi, and open weight. And then I came second in no gi, came second in the gi, came first in the open. And it was like one of the best days I've ever had in my life. And then it was all because in some aspect of that failure, but also the fact that you were able to go through that, it gave me a little bit of hope. That, you know, fucking, you know, you can keep doing it. I mean, on my scale of my failures, I'm not saying failure, but on the scale of my trials, it was nothing compared to what you had gone through. And I had that idea, okay, look, if Kai can do this and he can come back from this, I can overcome this little tiny obstacle. So
yeah, it's as you said before, like, that's just life. And it's true. That is, I guess, the best thing about life is that, I guess, it's not about being fearless. Like, I mean, when I die, I pretty much just, like, I find it kind of funny.
I found it kind of funny because we're always told not to compare our successes to other people. That's a negative thing. But for some reason, I always found comparing my failures, I don't want to say failures, but comparing my trials to trials of what other people have been through, very motivating.
That's very true.
I don't know why that is, but that's, you know, and that's what I kind of experience. Like, if I go through little things in life, you know, your car breaks down, oh, do this, or, you know, you get hit, or you have a shit day in the gym, you, I don't know, get your shit twisted, or, you know, but it's nothing compared to some of the truly horrible and heartbreaking shit people go through on a daily basis elsewhere around this world.
Yeah, it's like, we're very lucky in Australia. Like, things that happen around the world is, like, extremely messy. And I guess that's one thing that, like, I don't like about influencer culture and, like, the...
Thank you. And that's what we're heading to this.
Yeah, it's just, like, some of these people have no clue how dark it gets.
Yeah. When people understand how dark the world is, it's almost like little shit doesn't matter anymore, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, in Russia, they have some of, like, the performance centers, and it's called, like, you know, like, something along the lines of where, like a pit of fallen angels, you know, fallen stars, because there's so many of them that could have been, like, Olympic champion.
Really?
Yeah, that just, you know, just get channeled out by the system, just broken, etc. This is a meat grinder, and then only they just choose the one that comes at the top. But it's like the same in Japan. You got like 100 people who are like at that level, and it's just a meat grinder. Like, some of these guys, you can just, like, you're just amazed that they're not, like, on the international stage. And yeah, it's just so weird to have, like, you know, some unknown just smash like maybe one of the top 10 seeds in the world just at a training camp. Yeah, but along the lines of what you've been through, I reckon that's actually, like, when I was, like, on my deathbed, like, it was like moments like that where you can be really proud of yourself.
Yeah.
like, you can look back at your life, and one thing I noticed is that, you know, those old gentlemen, they spent one of them spent $140,000 to make his bathroom something he could use.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I realized I was much more content, like, looking back at my life and just all, like, the trials and tribulations and coming out by the skin of my teeth. And all those times where I didn't feel brave, but I pulled through, I felt I could die at peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I honestly felt that if I died right now, you know, this is, like, I've overcome enough.
How old are you, Kai?
27.
27. So you're 3 years old. Oh, 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
To go out that young, I mean, would have been. I mean, you kind of feel like your life kind of really. I know it's a weird thing, but people tell me like they will say stories about someone who died, or someone who nearly died or went through a near-death experience, and they say that was when their life really actually just begun.
That's also true.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah. I realized that, like, it takes a lot of courage to live even more. Because sometimes you have to let go. You have to recreate your life in a sense. Like, because all I know is fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all I know is judo. But then, now I'm at the point where I have to be like, okay, I have to live a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
And see how I do with that. Can I put my pride and ego aside and just do something normal? Or
I don't think guys someone such as yourself could ever be normal.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because what you go through, what you've been through, is not fucking normal.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the hardest bit to act. Acting normal with normal people is very difficult. Because it's like, I just don't really quite relate. And everyone's a bit too scared to kind of have fun. Which is one thing, like, I mean, who else as well, like, just starts a podcast up? You know, like.
Well, it's actually quite interesting because I've been doing this 3 years now, and when I started, we started with my best mate, and he didn't want to keep doing it, and that was his choice. But since then he's fucking flown, and then and at the beginning I was like, oh man, where's he leaving? But then I understood why he did it, and he's still my best mate to this day, and I'm so proud of him as well. But it kind of felt like now the way that things have gone is just. What's the best way? Things happen to you and you don't really fully understand them at the time, but when as time goes by, you look back and then you look at where you are, you understand why it happened. And it's like this as well. Generally when we're children as well, we get told things when we're children that we don't fully understand or we take for granted, and then we become adults and then you realize what we were told, and then we experience it. So it's a weird thing to say, but like, the experience itself is the greatest teacher, rather than talking of, being told it or telling people about it. You have to go through it, and that's really the biggest teacher you're going to get. You can't really have like an opinion. I mean, this thing can get twisted, but you can't really have an opinion on something unless you've actually been through it yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah,
I definitely first-hand experience is something which I'm definitely, ever since a kid, like, I was the type of kid, I'm pretty sure most kids are like this, they had to touch the fire to realize why it was hot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so ever since I was a kid, it doesn't matter what anyone else said. Mm-hmm. I had to experience it myself to understand. If not, I just wouldn't understand. Mm-hmm. Like, I put a fork in an electrical socket.
You did that as a kid?
Yeah, in high school.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
fuck?
That's like the kind of dumb I was. Like, they'll have the diagrams of this, and I'm like...
You must have electrocuted yourself.
Oh, I did. Like, my hand, like, flew backwards, like, hell hard. And, like, I was, like, on the floor, and then the teacher was like, what the fuck did you just do? And I was just like...
How old were you?
Year 10.
Jesus Christ.
How old is that? That's like...
14? 15?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
You were 15, you stuck a fucking...
I was that bored.
Wow.
Like, I was that bored, and I just, like... I was like, what would happen? Like, surely... I wasn't even thinking, actually, not gonna lie. I just was like... And it just made this huge bang noise, and my arm just went flying back. And I let go of the thing thankfully. And the whole fork was like, the whole top was just red hot. Yeah,
Wow.
but that was probably one of the most jolting experiences of my entire life. It just, like, I could feel, like, I could feel it in my bones.
Wow.
But yeah, pretty much. So, probably don't do that.
For me, mainly as a kid, I used to just like stick toilet paper to the ceilings at school, you know what I mean? You know that thing they wet toilet paper, put a bit of soap in it, throw up against the wall. Can't say I ever like threw can't say I ever put any forks in can't say I ever put any forks in electrical sockets. Fuck. What class was it though? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was the human biology class.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. I thought you were going to say art class or something.
No. Our class was actually kind of entertaining. Could just actually like muck around with things. So.
Mm-hmm. Damn. So I know it's a bit of a weird question to ask, but like, if you had to go back in time before you were about to fly over east and everything was about to happen, what would you say to yourself?
You're a fucking idiot. I'll just go back in time and just be like, wake the fuck up, you fucking cunt. Like, you're about to lose something good. Just like, wake the fuck up. And like, you gotta, but at the same time, I was very confused. And definitely not the person I am today.
Mm-hmm.
It was just stress. That's the thing. Stress is something which just can really make you blind.
Stress is something that really can make you blind.
Yeah, like you just become overwhelmed with sensation, rather than actually, being stoic in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like it's harder to make the right decisions when there feels like there's so much on the line. It's like the thing where you're like walking across a tightrope and like, your life depends on it, versus walking across walking along like a little bridge or something when there's no real, you fall off, it's like, yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. Versus the same thing, but, in the sky. Mm-hmm. So, you have to kind of blame yourself, but at the same time you can't, because it was just something that you learned and, you can't go back in time anyway, so. But if I could, yeah, I'll just be like.
Would you let yourself do it regardless? Or would you just
do what? Like,
would you still let yourself go, or
shit? You know what? Probably not. Hey, I think I would like to see where that different timeline goes. Mm-hmm. Like if I didn't go, that timeline would have been interesting. But I don't know.
What was the biggest lesson you learned from that situation, from over east?
I guess what love is.
What is love?
The biggest thing that kind of like, it's not like ownership or whatnot, but it's kind of like having a bird and you like, if you just got the bird trapped, you're holding on because you don't want to let go. Mm. But love at the end of the day is being able to let go. Still love, even though you're not actually with, like, you're not, like, the proximity is not there. You don't know what's happening, but you just love for the sake of loving. Mm-hmm. Like, it's easy to hate. It's easy to point fingers and stuff. Like, I mean, it's not like, how to say, love everything. Well, you still kind of do, but at the same time, it's just like, it is what it is. They're gone and whatnot, but you can't have ill feelings, and you just got to kind of just be like, okay, cool, that happened. Regardless of that, the compassion is still there.
Mm. I had someone who came on the podcast, and they told me the best thing when it comes to relationships and being with people and relationships and friendships is that you never really truly lose somebody. You just give them back.
Yeah.
Life gives you people, you spend your time with them, you have your fights, you have your breakups, you have your, moments of high, moments of down with them. and then when your time is kind of up with them, you give them back with life because you realize you're not the same person who you were when you met them.
Yeah, that's the shame. Sometimes I feel that like things would have been better off with who I am now. Like if we could start things later, it would have succeeded. But that's me just thinking out loud. But it is true, as like the way you put it. You're just giving them back, and also you just have to go your own way, and you can't force relationships. You can't force things.
No. They say it's like if it's like it's like going to the toilet. If you have to force it, it's a shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's what they said. Yeah, I know.
I like that. Yeah. It's
Was it? I know it's a weird thing. When you went over it, when you were over it and going for everything, was there anything that you brought back with you, like to remember it, like a souvenir or a token or anything like that?
I guess a little cauliflower ear and some chipped teeth.
Yeah, can I see it? Which one is it?
I
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Wow, so that's your front tooth as well.
Yeah, I just landed flat on my face and just like a little collie.
Oh yeah, I see it. Wow. Does it hurt?
Nah, not now.
Are you gonna get it drained?
Nah.
You're gonna grow up a big beard?
Maybe. Yeah, I found that like ever since coming back, I've had to shave I shaved yesterday.
Yeah. There's one thing that's really stuck with me now that as well you've been back. Do you remember when we had that last conversation? You talked about when you go through hard things, you physically change as well.
Yeah.
You're right. You've just proved your point.
Yeah.
You physically change as well after going through that hard stuff and all that. The chipped tooth and the cauliflower ear and all that as well. So,
true.
Yeah, because we had that conversation and it just stuck with me because I'm a big fan of Jordan Peterson, but your facial features change to suit what you've been through and all that.
Yeah, I also realized that I feel that my chin is a lot harder. My ability to take shots to the body and stuff is I don't know if it's a placebo or something, but I definitely feel a lot more battle tested. Like getting punched in the face now doesn't faze me at all. Maybe I'm not getting punched in the face by anyone not with MMA gloves and stuff, but even bare fist is it does split my lip from the inside, but not from the outside. It's strange. So, but maybe that's just me being cocky. We'll find out.
Fair enough. Did they give you any pain or anything like that to this day, or?
No.
Fair enough.
So I don't take painkillers, so.
Oh.
Yeah. When I found out that paracetamol can make your connective tissue weak.
Really?
Yeah.
When did you hear that?
Because when I was before my surgery on my elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that's why I decided not to take painkillers.
Wow.
It's So apparently it's not very good.
Oh.
So I would take ibuprofen, if anything, but not paracetamol.
Oh. What was the injury on your elbow again?
I had an elbow reconstruction.
Oh. But when was that?
2019.
2019, yeah. Was that just from having it broken one too many times, or?
Yeah, just overtrained with it.
Yeah.
And just had to take out the bolt and stuff, and just shattered it, tore some ligaments, so I had to reattach it. And it's actually quite good now. It's better than after the first one. The first one I couldn't do anything above my head.
Oh.
But now I can actually do a lot of things. So grateful I got the second one done. Maybe I have to get the knee done.
Yeah. You reckon you could get another bolt in there as well? Or,
I don't know.
How long's that thing been giving you issues for?
2017.
Wow. Fuck.
Yeah. So that's
6 years.
Yeah, that's one of the main. This is probably the main reason I didn't go do a lot of MMA, is because every time I'd check a kick, if they kicked me in the patella, it would hurt like shit.
Wow.
So that was one of the main deterrents. But yeah, maybe it's a good thing, so I don't do MMA. But we'll see.
Do you ever still think about do you still ever practice judo at all?
Yeah, I practiced yesterday.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what does it feel now coming back from over east and going back into judo? So does it feel like the training's different? Does it feel like the movements feel like different? Is anything any better since you come back?
Yeah, my whole game has changed,
Wow,
which is
okay.
weird. Yeah, I've kind of changed I've been focusing more on balance and S&C. And yeah, like my judo still feels sharp, hasn't really gone backwards at all. If anything, I would say that's kind of gotten better. Besides, I probably just need to stretch a bit more. But otherwise, yeah, like it's like riding a bike. And coming back after a big long break, you kind of approach the thing with fresh eyes.
Do you have any aspirations to take that any further? Like, is maybe going to World Championships or the Olympics still in the cards for you?
I don't think so. I don't really see a future pursuing that, because coming from WA, you have to pay flights over east, and there's a new national training centre and stuff which you have to be involved in Melbourne, meaning you have to be like living there, training there, and it doesn't really suit like where I want to be. So at the moment, yeah, looking to do some acting classes, give that my all and see what happens.
I mean, that would be pretty fucking awesome to see you in an action movie or voice in an anime.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, just I realize that life's pretty short, love comes and goes, but, the experiences we have, like, why not just fucking take a shot? Like, if you're going to take a shot, really try to take a shot, and if the universe is pretty fast to tell you whether or not you're on the right or wrong track, and then, of course, I don't really, I feel I'm stupid enough to be quite relentless at it and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? You die.
You almost did.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, and that's when I realized is that if that's the only thing that can really stop you, fuck it.
Yeah. Well, that's a very, very noble way to go. I'm just looking at your watch. You do have to be out of here soon. So I've got about 3 minutes. Man, is there anything that's on your mind right now that you want to share to the audience who's probably going through a tough time right now?
Tough times never last. Tough people last. Honestly, have good social support networks around you. Make sure you're listening to the right people in your life. That's like wisdom, just having discernment. There's a lot of people who tell you to do this, to do that, and they can come in the form of friends, family, but you have to kind of really have that like ear to what you really want to do, regardless of whether or not it's stupid or not. Like, you have to kind of do the things which you feel are right, and you can then that way you can only really blame yourself, and that's when you really understand that, and that's when you have no regrets, because you chose what to do, and you can't blame anyone else for your own decisions. And just sort of follow, it's cliche about that, follow your own gut, follow your own heart, and wherever it gets you, just find a way to keep moving forward regardless.
All right. Well, thank you very much, brother. It's fucking great to have you back, and it was just good to finally just catch up on the things, because if you put it this way, when you're off social media so much and the most of the people you talk to every day is like family and work, moments like this mean so much more, because I know this is not something that I can get to experience every day. It's a very rare commodity. So honestly, brother, thank you very much for your time. If anyone wants to follow you on social media, funny how I actually just said that as well, how can they, if anyone wants to reach out?
Yeah, wherever, just type in my name, and if you actually just want to talk, I'm pretty open. I'm very open, actually. So, like, if you feel you're struggling with something, and you just feel that I'm someone that could understand what you're going through, if you really need a helping hand and can't find anywhere else, you have people around you, even I'm there, you reach out, I'm not going to share it or whatnot, just someone with experience. yeah, it's fulfilling. This kind of work. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening to the Last Set podcast. Wish you all the best, and that's game. Wow.
Cheers.
Fuck. That was awesome.